Let's go live, only via sound because we have a technical issue. We say a very good morning to the Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary, Helen Whatley. Helen, good morning.
Good morning.
Before we talk about what I consider to be Badenoch doing a good job again this week, I'd like your response to this news story this morning because, Helen, it is disgusting, it is despicable. People are raging with this. 2 Afghan teenage illegal migrants jailed yesterday for raping that 15-year-old. One of the judges said to the Daily Mail, who fought fair play to them to get the guys' names, that the footage is so horrific that one of the lawyers said it would cause riots if it went public. I guess, like everybody else, you're fed up with it, but I want to ask the question, how have successive governments not worked out how to stop young men, unvetted, coming into this country when we read, and this is a fact, Helen Whatley, 25% of sexual offences last year were carried out by foreign criminals? It's got to stop.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's disgusting, the specifics of that really horrific case. And as you say, the scale and those statistics that you just shared with people, I mean, this is the point that those small boats where we have people coming in here undocumented, we don't know anything about their background, that has got to stop. And goodness, I'm so frustrated. I know that we didn't manage to do it when we were in government. We wanted to. We came across endless barriers, including the lawfare, and the European Convention on Human Rights getting in the way. And now we see Keir Starmer making absolutely no progress. He made all those promises and people feel totally let down.
And I think that's the point. I think there comes a point. I don't know whether you're a mother. I've got 6 kids. I am sick to death of hearing there isn't a will. I would say to every parent, were they political or not, we have to get our heads in a space where a government's responsibility, without going on about it, is to protect the people in this country. And all the do-gooders who say, oh, you're being really unfair to these poor men. No, I'm not. No, they're unvetted. They're throwing their passports to the sea. And they're coming here with, I think this is really powerful, and they're coming here with very different views about how they should treat women. And you know, that to me is red rag to a bull. But I just wanted to take your take. I know you also want to talk, and I salute Kemi Badenoch on this, accusing Labour overnight of lacking the political courage to carry out that grooming gangs inquiry. We're not having one. Then we said we're having one, said the Labour Party. We've heard very, very little. And in fact, Kemi Badenoch goes further overnight, which I think people will also be interested in. She says that mosques must be made to cooperate with any grooming gangs inquiry, and foreign sex offenders, hurrah, need to be kicked out of the UK, Helen Whatley.
Yes, I mean, what we've seen with the government on the grooming gangs inquiry is them dragging their feet every step of the way. It's clearly extremely politically difficult for them for some reason. I think to most of us looking at it, and just the sheer horror of the scale over the many years and the failure to get to the bottom of it, and to see as that becomes clear, the government not leaning in and doing the most that they can do as fast as they can do is shocking and incredibly disappointing, clearly, for the victims who've come forward and had the courage to speak out about this. And that's why Kemi is so furious. And, you know, she's been talking to the victims of the grooming gangs as well, and wants to see justice done for them.
It's interesting for me, you said, is it politically motivated? But unlike many politicians, you talk from a moral stance, which I like. But the truth of the matter is there were 5 independent MPs voted into constituencies simply on the Gaza ticket last time. Let's take Jonathan Ashworth, who's... I know very well, he lost his seat. He was going to be a cabinet minister. He lost by a few hundred seats to an independent who stood simply on Gaza. Would it be fair to suggest that the Labour Party is terrified of upsetting that Muslim vote, 4 or 5 million, by perhaps carrying this out? And for people who think that's an outrage, go and read the interview I did with the Chief Constable of Rotherham several months ago, who said we probably were a little bit, you know, slow in dealing with this because we didn't want to stir up trouble amongst different races and religions in the area. For me, I don't know about you, I don't care about where you come from or the colour of your skin. I don't want kids being attacked in this country willy-nilly, like I don't want young girls being attacked. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, what we need to see is the government having the courage to do the right thing on this, and not being worried about some of their MPs who are sitting on small majorities and don't want to upset certain groups within their constituencies. I mean, I think the fact is, as you're putting it, we have to get to the bottom of this, and we have to get it to stop. It's the most disgusting thing that's been happening to girls. And we can't allow people's worries about how many votes they'll get from which groups in future elections to stop that getting fixed.
I want to just quickly, before I let you go, the Tories have also pledged today to block mobility access, this is presumably cars, for people with ADHD and anxiety. Jesus, about time. Kemi said the proposal to tighten the rules was fair, proportionate and reduces the burden on taxpayers. I wouldn't be doing my job correctly, Helen, and we love having you on, if I didn't ask you this. Leaving the ECHR, being stronger on immigration, blocking mobility, why was none of this in the psyche of you guys when you were in government? Because this sort of stuff has been spouted by Reform for months, and it does to a lot of people, cynics say, you're playing catch-up. Why was not this mobility thing? Why was not all of those things that are speaking common sense to the Conservative voter in this country? Why has it taken Reform to lead the way, do you think?
Well, on the Motability point, so yes, we have said that we wouldn't allow people to continue to get those government-funded, taxpayer-funded cars unless they have severe disabilities. And the main reason why you're seeing such an increase in people claiming sickness benefits and then getting access to cars is people getting benefits for common low-level mental health problems, things like anxiety or neurodiversity, specifically ADHD. So we've said we put a stop to that. We actually did try and reform that when we were in government, and this is the connection to the ECHR. And actually, there was a legal block because of our membership of the European Convention on Human Rights that stopped us doing that. To your question, why didn't we get out of it before the election? I mean, I think there was lots of toing and froing amongst the Conservative MPs at the time about that. What I would say is, we're now under new leadership, and Kemi Badenoch is taking a very clear position on this. She did a review about looking at in detail the questions about what the implications of leaving the ECHR and how would it affect Northern Ireland and Good Friday Agreement and questions like that. And she came to the clear conclusion, supported by her shadow cabinet, that we should leave because it's necessary to do things like stopping the small boats, deporting people who shouldn't be here in the UK, and indeed things like cracking down on the abuse of our benefit system.
Really good to have you on, and I genuinely appreciate it. It's good to get the Conservative view. It's important. If only our current government, who used to speak to me the whole time, but they won't come on this show, apparently, for reasons that we don't really understand. Helen Whatley, Shadow Work and Pension Secretary from the Tory Party, thank you very much indeed. 12 minutes past.